Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a disassembly maintenance video for you on this little guy right here. This is the WinterBlade Co. Production Factor. Now, before we go any further, I do want to check out, let's see where we're at here. We are very slightly favoring the clip side in terms of centering here, and the knife is bizarre. This is an absolutely strange knife in that it is magnetic. The majority of the important functional components are magnetic. And as a result, it takes apart a little bit differently, I'm told, than most things. Now, generally speaking, makers don't include a disassembly manual, but this one did. And this is sort of an important point here. They say, do not oil the Factor's M-lock. They probably should have just put Nick right at the end there. I get that, right? But the drier, the better. Okay? But basically, what we're hearing here is that we need to not oil the lock here. I am not, by the way, having any kind of lock stick on this guy. That's not an issue at all here. And then just talk about wiping away the film, and if there's any kind of metallic dust, just dab them clean. So, no oil on the lock. That is apparently an important thing. The other thing that they mention is the highly expensive proprietary pivot tool, available for around 25 cents, and that is a quarter. So what I'm going to go on ahead and do is take out the pivot here to start with, and that was nice and easy. I'll go ahead and unscrew that, and then I probably also have to unscrew these three things here. These appear to be T8. No, those are T6. Okay. Let's go on ahead and pop that out. Here, we'll put one up here. I'm using this little mat. By the way, if you're curious about this or any of the tools I'm using, although actually I don't include this one on the site, but nonetheless, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools, and we will go ahead and you'll see all kinds of different options for good disassembly processes. And then I'll go ahead and I'll just pull this the rest of the way out, twist this out using the good old-fashioned standard US finger. And we'll go on ahead and take this guy the rest of the way apart. So the pivot is now out, and now the knife is profoundly weird. So there's a magnet there. Oh, this is the lockup. This magnet here is the lock. So you pull back. How the hell does this thing work? Okay, so to start with, what we have down here is a magnetic detent. The blade doesn't generally actually touch this magnet, but the magnet does keep the blade in its position there, so that is the detent. And now what we're going to do, I'm going to put the blade right here, and then what I'm going to basically try and figure out, how does this work? Oh, okay, so then the magnet gets pulled towards this direction to lock the knife, and then to pull the knife back, you pull the magnet back that way. So it's kind of like a sliding bar style lock in its principle of operation, except that it is being pulled by a magnet rather than by springs. And so in this case, I can see why they're talking about, yeah, and many arguments are made that you don't want to use a lubrication on sliding bar locks. Okay, whatever. So at the very least, we know how that works. On the inside of the knife, we do see a washer, which desperately wants to be up on this other magnet over here. We see this little piece back here. We see the other detent magnet. We see this little guy, which appears to be catching the blade and steadying it in between the two magnets, maybe? Is that the thing? Then we have this little piece in the back here, and this is itself, there is a magnet here. There is one magnet right here, and there is a second magnet here, and this allows you to basically, it helps you to press this guy down to deploy the blade. One thing that I'm actually going to do, though, for this, as a part of this disassembly, is to replace that piece with this piece here. This is a solid chunk of carbon fiber that just fits in this place and turns the knife, I'm told, into a different configuration, basically, where it now opens only with the opening hole. And so that's kind of a neat approach to have both of those things on there. This was a custom-made piece by WinterBlade Co. But, come on, get on there. This is kind of torqued in a little way. But let's see if I can slip this the rest of the way down on there. There we go. That's slipped in place. Now, this isn't going anywhere at all, and it also should remove any question about, like, automatic laws and things like that. But, okay. Now what I'm going to want to do is clean some things up. I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol here, which should be fine for everything involved. Clean off the pivot here. This is one of the strangest knives I have taken apart in a long time, although I'm actually reassured in a lot of ways that you get it open and it's pretty normal looking. It's just got freaking magnets everywhere, which is sort of neat. But anyways, very, very strange knife. This is not free spinning because it is D-shaped. So there's a little D-shape on the pivot as well as on this interior part here, which is nice. I've actually carried this knife a fair amount in its stock configuration with the little flipping lever on there, oops, which is currently picking up screws. So, swapping this over, oh, come off of it. Swapping this over is not problematic for my review in any particular way. Boy, that is a pain in the neck. This little washer desperately wants to be on that magnet. Let's see here. Can I get that off here? I'm going to use something a little smaller. Use this watch spring bar tool here. There we go. No, come on. Do not fight me. I am the human. I will win. There we go. So I'm going to keep this washer over here for the moment. But anyways, so installing that will give me a different experience and give me a chance to play around with that. But I figured I would show you how to do it. I mean, otherwise, when I'm putting this back together, I would just reinstall this lever instead. But either way, so there is that. What I am going to do is follow his advice and take a little Q-tip sort of affair, just like so. And now that I've cleaned off the bearings themselves, what I'll go ahead and do, actually, first off, I'll use one half of the Q-tip to just clean up the bearing races here. Then clean that up there too. And just clean the outside of this. Defilm it a little bit, as he mentioned. But anyways, then I'm going to use the other end of this, along with some knife pivot lube, to apply a little bit to a Q-tip. I believe I should probably be able to get up in there without the Q-tip approach, but I'm going to follow maker's instructions, because when they're kind enough to give them to me, it makes sense. So there we go. Put a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit of oilation there, and a little bit onto this little dude here. And now we should be ready to put this guy back together. So, okay, step one is going to be to reinsert the pivot, and I'll do so in such a way that is respectful of the D-shape. I'll go ahead and clean out the outside here. So I'll put the D-shape in the proper orientation, like freaking so, right here. Then I will drop on a bearing. Then I will put on a blade. I'm doing this backwards. Yeah, no, okay, there we go. Yeah, we're good. Put on the blade, drop on a bearing. Drop on a bearing. Oh, wrong side. I lubed the wrong side. The way I know that is that this side does not have any kind of a ring on it, and this side does. So this is the side that has contacted the bearings in the past. So I'll go on ahead and I will coat this side with a little bit of oil. Get everything running. This is the least I have ever oiled a pocket knife. I hope you're all proud. Now what I'm going to do is insert the lock, which I will also clean a little bit. Here. I will put the lock in place. Now what I'm going to try and do is drop this whole affair in. Hey, I think this is working. Okay, so now I need to kind of unlock the lock, I think, for this to work, but at the very least, oh, this screw is wanting to attract to things. Okay, this is, yes, sure, you can rest there for the moment. I should have put Loctite on the pivot before I got started here, but hey, whatever. All right, okay, so we have pulled off this little bit here. That goes there. This needs to go here instead. Come on. Ah. Oh, no, that's fine, I think. Let's go ahead. Put this in position. Sure. Why not? Nope. Okay. There's no real way to sneak up on a magnet, unfortunately. Okay, good. I think I've got that in place. Now what I'm going to do, I think this is not fully aligned yet, but I want to at least get this in position here so I can start the process. Then what I'm going to do is Come to the other side here. And I'm going to install this very back screw. Where is my thread locker? I'll put this onto the back of my driver here. Come off it. Really? This is not the most straightforward disassembly I've ever had, but it's also not the least straightforward. I've honestly been a little intimidated, too. And I'm not a person who's generally intimidated by the idea of a knife disassembly. But, you know, this is... Okay, there we go. Now, once I unsnapped the lock there, everything got into full alignment here. But anyways, you know, you just never know when you're dealing with something that is this far out of left field, so to speak. You're never quite sure what's going to go on. So I'm actually quite happy that this has been pretty low-key. I also feel like the chance I'm going to have to demagnetize my drivers after this is roughly 2. That is, of course, on a probability scale. I know that probability scales don't generally work that way, but what it means in this particular case is that not only is it 100% guaranteed in this universe, but in fact, in a parallel universe, it has just also become 100% guaranteed. Hence the probability of 2. Anyways, moving on. Statisticians, don't at me. Actually, just don't at me in general. Statistical trauma. Moving on. So let's go on ahead and see where we're at here. The lockup is now good. We do have some play. So I'm going to want to tighten this pivot down a little further. And right now, this is nicely in place. It's not 100%. And again, this is not the final production version. So this is a little bit off kilter there. But let's go ahead. Actually, let me loosen that up a little touch. And tighten back down. Okay, so what we have here is a... Oh, wow, that works. Neat. Yeah, that does actually help the ergos a little bit. You lose the trigger base thing. And this is actually not a knife that you can pull back on the lock and flick it out. Right? This is one where you're going to have to use the finger groove, but that works well. Centering is very slightly favoring the... it's again favoring the clip side, so we're right where we started. And in this case, actually, it's kind of strange because there are literally magnets that are pulling it towards one side or the other. Where's my play? There is no play. Yeah. We are good to go. God, that has a resonance to it that's amazing. I think it's this bar at the top there, right? Oh, yeah. But anyways, so we've taken this guy apart. Like I said, if we were doing it the conventional way, we would just have reinstalled this lever exactly where it was in this position. But since I swapped that over, you now have a sense of how that would work too. And yeah, let's go on ahead and put this guy back in the pocket with the new approach, and we'll see how it goes. But otherwise, keep an eye out for an upcoming review. There you go. Hope this has been interesting to you. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. And I hope this disassembly was a factor in your purchasing decisions. Bye now.